And good morning and welcome to your Tuesday. My name is Jay Cleveland Payne, and this is Things You Might Have Heard for Tuesday, May 31st, 2022. Happy day after Memorial Day. If you got a chance to get the day off, hopefully you got some rest and some relaxation, although take a little bit of time to think about the actual moment, the day, the reason why the day was off, and celebrates and some retrospect to the people who did give their lives in support of where we are today. These includes all soldiers, sailors, Marines, and those folks, of course. But we also think about first responders. We think about police officers, firefighters, EMTs, folks like that. That this may not be for a wartime thing, but people, and we had in situations lately, including things like 9/11, who've gone in and given it all in support of and safety of all folks. So a memorial mostly for the soldiers who have died over the years, but also for those who've lost their lives in smaller things and more domestic things, if you will. Give a memorial for them as well. My name is Jay Cleveland Payne, and today we have a lot of stories to get through. We actually have about 11 stories to get through. The first six are from what usually is a slow news day. For a slow news day, we had a lot of people who have passed in the last 30 hours or so, or being reported across the world. Some of them may mean absolutely nothing to you. Some of them may mean a lot more to you than you think as the scroll goes around as we talk about them. So we're going to go basically lightning fast over those first and then give you four actual stories that may have a bit of impact on your life going forward this week. Now, if you want more details about what happens to the Conversation Project, go to our main website. This is theconversationproject.com, and it will take you there. You can see all the stuff that we're doing behind the scenes moving forward and some of the behind the scenes backward stuff. As it is to see how we got to where we are and where we're trying to go. If you want to help us out, check out the link below where it says sponsorships. You can find out how to find more of our sponsors, and they'll take care of you, and we get a little cut from them. Plus, we have links for partnerships as well, ways you can directly partner with us here at the show. Let's go ahead and get into the very somber memorial experience extended for this Tuesday morning day after Memorial Day. Story number one. And we're just going to get through quickly headlines, read them, and just go quickly to get to the actual news so we can stay on time, on task, and of course, not let this drag on. French journalist Frederic Leclerc-Imhoff killed in Ukraine. CNN.com gave us that one. Just another reminder that there are people out there who have to give us the knowledge and details of what goes on, and it is not easy work. Another journalist dying in the conflict that's going on in Ukraine. That's Russia going in and trying to annex essentially a piece of land that used to be theirs 1,000 years ago, and now Putin wants it back because of whatever. That's the overarching story, but we don't get the stories from just osmosis. We get it from people who are more or less independent of the conflict. Here in US, those are U.S. journalists, and you can just have fault for the leanings of the different major networks and major news sources, which they have leanings. This is another journalist doing his job. Frederic Leclerc-Imhoff, which I'm totally butchering, died, killed over the weekend in Ukraine. Next up, Arizona Cardinals cornerback Jeff Gladney dies at 25. Fox 9 in Arizona gives us this one here. And this is one that's got picked up a lot because he was a former, they got picked up by his college team in Texas. He was a former Minnesota Viking, and so they picked it up as well. Essentially just now going to the Cardinals after his rookie contract. So very young man, not much life given so far, and maybe not the biggest impact in the NFL, but enough to get a lot of people talking about this weekend. So check his article out as well for our Jeff Gladney dying at the age of 25 this weekend. Indian rapper turned politician Sidhu Moose Wala shot dead as well. CNN.com gives this one early in the weekend, one that survived quite a bit of time. I didn't think this would get picked up by very much, but like we said, this is on the internet. This is actually a pretty international style of broadcast, or what we've been doing. The list that we cater to, the people that are on our list, do a lot of stuff, and so things like this pop up. And if we're lucky enough to hit the algorithm just right, we can get a wave. This one coming in 5 out of the top 15 stories for the week. So that's what we have here. Indian rapper turned politician Sidhu Moose Wala shot dead. And of course, we know that rappers, musicians, entertainers, actors, all the rage right now, turning into politicians, turning into presidents. The president of Ukraine, former actor. Ronald Reagan, former actor. Former president of France, owned television stations. So people in media, people who do this stuff, have the charisma to pull this off. Read the story for more details of what happened in the incident. You can see that in the rundown today. George Shapiro, Jerry Seinfeld's producer and manager, dead at 91 years old today. That one was a late arrival yesterday. People.com gave us that one late in the evening, and it pulled all the way up to 7, at least late was posting in the evening yesterday. So this is something a bit more close to home. You may not be in the Seinfeld family. You may not actually worked on Seinfeld stuff, but most of us have been fans of Jerry Seinfeld for quite some time. Losing someone great in the industry, if you will, until someone tells us otherwise, but losing a industry stalwart, that being George Shapiro, at the age of 91. And Master P announces death of his daughter, Tytyana Miller, at age 29. TMZ.com was essentially the original source for this. This is the source we pulled from. By the time I saw it, there were a lot of different articles on this story, but we were putting out our thoughts and prayers to all the people affected this one, but putting out some extra thoughts and prayers to Master P and his family, losing his daughter at an extremely young age of 29 years old. More details on these stories can be found on the net. You want to get started, click on the links inside the rundown or in the description for today's video. You can see more details on any of these stories that went by. And one more to go. Florida Principal Jimbo Jackson, who fought Governor Ron DeSantis over in-person learning, he died over the weekend of long COVID. TheDailyBeast.com gave us this one as well. So a large spectrum of people that you may not have heard of, you may not really think much of, or they may not have really come across your radar. We popped 6 of them in them this morning because it's, Memorial Day, holidays are a slow weekend, not a lot going on, especially as people are trying to chill out and get into the barbecue groove and just sort of give a little time for the memorial ceremonies as well. What we had over the past weekend and literally over the past day, a lot of different stories like these. We want to make sure we gave out a little bit of props to these people very quickly, running through those stories right there, especially this one right here, because this is a person who, whether you are down on whatever side of that you're down on in Florida politics, had some pretty measurable actions that affected Florida politics, that also rippled across the nation as we dealt with schools and the process of schools went through during COVID. He himself, the principal here, who fought DeSantis on, in-person learning, making sure all kids were in school with masks on, basically without mask, breathing on top of each other. This person caught COVID and died of long COVID symptoms himself. Now we'll get on to 4 stories that are much lighter by comparison, but we'll see how much they really mean it did make a difference. So this story at number 11, Boston Celtics advanced to NBA Finals after Game 7 win over Miami Heat. A crazy series between the Celtics and the Heat to make their way all the way through 7 games for the East. And the East now represented by the green, the Celtics, to take on the Western Conference champions, who are the Golden State Warriors. This game, or these games, kick off on Thursday. So the simple question is, who you got? You got Golden State, you got Boston, you got the Warriors, you got Celtics, you got Steph, you got the Boston trio. What do you got going on? Who are you picking for? Who are you rooting for in the NBA Finals? Are you not a finals person? Are you waiting to find out how hockey's going to go? Because we do have a lot of hockey followers here. Are you just waiting for baseball to get someplace where you can actually care about baseball? Let us know in the comments. Let us know who you got here, there, or anywhere across these sports series. Next story we have is this one right here. More than 5,300 flights canceled so far over Memorial Day weekend. This was the tally on Monday morning when we reposted the story. We posted late, a late version of it from Sunday that said more than 4,000 flights canceled. By Monday morning, it was 5,300 for about 5,4 something ish, so something like that, canceled on Memorial Day. over the weekend, I should say, not just Memorial Day, but from Friday to Monday, flights canceled. Now, why are flights canceled in one of the busiest times of the year? Well, number one, it's still traditional time for people to drive Memorial Days. Memorial Day is known mostly for driving across places than flying. So that's part number one. So gas prices had a factor, but then didn't quite factor in. Number two, there's still shortages of pilots and still shortages of planes to get back and forth on. Even though people are now starting to go back to the friendly skies, the airlines aren't as lined up for friendly sky travel as they should be. Now, granted, I work in media, I work in marketing, and you see plenty of commercials for airlines and booking places and rental places and hotels and car rental places, things like that. Here's the deal. They have to put those commercials on to make it look like they're doing greater than they are, because otherwise you would know they're not doing as great as they are. So if you watch a commercial, for example, Carvana has all these commercials all over the place, and they're saying they're expanding, yet they're having issues company-wide, and they're missing projections, and the people on the board are freaking out because they're firing people because they're not doing as well as having commercial on TV, which would have. Same thing for airlines specifically. They're putting a great big front of saying they're doing better, but they're not. And so this is why they're canceling so many flights, big time flights for the big time. Some of them not being taken. So there's part of that. But most of it is the fact that they don't have the manpower to do the extra flights, to get extra people out there, to give you more choices going out there. Next story. Stranger Things resurges Kate Bush's Running Up the Hill to top of music charts. USAtoday.com gives this one. And Stranger Things Season 4 Volume 1 dropped on Friday. So I spent a lot of Saturday with one of my monitors on Stranger Things while I was doing some work, basically some schoolwork or grading papers over the weekend. So yes, I was a little distracted trying to get some TV in. But one of the things that came into place, and a lot of articles written up about Sadie Sink, the actress who plays Max in episode 4, I believe, where it's basically all about her and some extreme struggles she went through for the storyline. I won't go in deep into it for spoilers, although you should have probably got it by now. One of the key pieces of her storyline of that episode is the song Running Up the Hill, which they distinguish as her favorite song. She's listening to it all the time because she's going through some rough tough in real life and in the upside down, if you will. That song by Kate Bush, written way back, I think I want to say in the 80s, 80s song, is all of a sudden, well, it obviously in the 80s because she was listening to it on her Walkman in the show, has come into fruition as a new song for millennial girls to pick up on and shoot it up the charts over the weekend. Now, Kate Bush is all of a sudden sort of a Twitter what's going on. She's talking about what's happening. She's glad to have it back up there. Thinks it's a great song, and just waiting for the people to listen to her new stuff, which by comparison is really, really, really weird. We'll see what happens and how many fans we convert to actual Kate Bush fans, or how many people are just going to love this one song, maybe 2 or 3 off the old album, and then go from there. Canada's Trudeau announces plan to national freeze on handguns. Reuters.com on that one. I just read an article on that one before going on here, so I shouldn't be butchering Justin Trudeau's article headline. But here is the deal on that one. 2 years ago, when there was a big mass shooting in Canada, Canada outlawed 3 different types of assault-style weapons. This year, right now, after the details going on in Brooklyn 3 weeks ago, and then Uvalde last week, Canada is going to put a freeze on the purchase of handguns. Now, there's always some sort of grandfather clause, so no one's coming to take away your guns that you already have, but they're putting a freeze on what can be manufactured, they're putting a freeze on what can be sold, they're putting a freeze on what you can buy, and that's what should come into play if this thing is voted on in the future. Now, this is a plan. This is not an executive order. This is not a law. This is something that Trudeau wants to do to curb gun violence, and this is for handguns specifically. So think about that. Right now, the biggest issue we're actually having in the States, talking about guns, is rifles, assault-style rifles, a specific assault-style rifle that can be modified from a hunting rifle or just a high-capacity rifle into a fully automatic or mostly automatic weapon with very little effort. And it's essentially a walking around with not quite an M16, but it's pretty darn close. You can buy it off the shelf at your local sporting store and buy some accessories and modify it to be a war style weapon. Now, that's a bigger discussion that we believe is going to be had. We're told there's going to be a lot of different bipartisan committees and things going on to talk about this stuff. We'll see if they happen, and we'll see what comes about through them. But Trudeau taking swift action, or trying to take swift action, putting a plan in place to basically curb the purchase of handguns. This doesn't take guns off the street. This doesn't deal with mental issues, and this doesn't deal with domestic violence. But this does mean there's less guns on the streets in Canada should this pass. Our teaser story for this morning, which we could talk about more tomorrow. Florida sheriff refuses to resign after report he improperly moved out of the county he's in charge of. This is something that is a pretty big deal for many police municipalities where you have a city police force, but the city is inside of a pretty good county or a pretty big set of suburbs, and people that work in the city that they work in, the police source they work in, live in the suburbs, live in the county, live out about someplace, and people complain about them not really being invested in their city because they're not a part of the city. This is a big issue here where I'm in Central Arkansas, where the people that patrol Little Rock tend to not live in Little Rock, live in the suburbs of Little Rock or out in the county someplace. This is a big deal. And they're trying to push to have more police officers actually live within the city limits, within the zip code of the city of Little Rock, not outskirts in the prettier suburbs or notorious suburbs for whatever reason. Do you think this is something we can talk about tomorrow? Well, you've upvoted this one. You give it the engagement rankings it should have, and we will see if it falls in line. If it's in the top 15, we will talk about it tomorrow. What's top 15 mean? We'll talk about that in about 90 seconds. But first, let's talk about how we keep things going on here. The lights on, if you will. You can stop by. This is theconversationproject.com/Robinhood and help us out by helping yourself out. Get into the world of investing for absolutely nothing. Free. In fact, they're going to give you a free stock for signing up with Robinhood today. What does Robinhood do? Now, let me be clear. Robinhood is an app that allows you to trade in stocks and crypto and ETFs and all those things like that and various other things. They also have a great banking function where you can put money away and earn a lot of interest on that one going forward to hopefully invest in more stock and crypto. That's what they want to do at Robinhood. That's how they make their money in your investment, in your actual transactions. This is a volatile time in the market. The market is, I think, looking like it's up for this morning. I looked over yesterday, and the futures, even though it was closed yesterday, looked like it was going up for the futures. Although many people's portfolios are extremely down right now. This is not a joke. This is not the play. This is a chance to get yourself back in the game on investing. If you've been curious about all the stuff going on in crypto and in stocks and bonds, this is a way to get in on the ground floor. Penny stocks are available. Buying fractional stocks. Yes, Amazon trades at $1,000, but you only have to put in like $20 and you get shares of Amazon just like anybody else. Check it out at thisistheconversationproject.com/Robinhood. With the link, you go to that link, it's an affiliate link, and we get a little bit of cut as a finder's fee to get you in there. But you can do what you can do and start getting your investment life going, expanding your horizons, and finding a way to get out of this situation you're in using Robinhood. Now, as we said, stocks have a tendency to be volatile. They go up, they go down, and you may actually lose some money in some investments. I will say the standard line that the investments over time in the stock market is the best way to gain wealth. So put a little in, see how it works for you, and go from there. There's also plenty of actual advice to help you pick things out. I'm going to say buy small shares of things that you like, things that you use, things that seem to be going well, and then watch the news forecast to make sure they are continuing going well. And if you looks like it's time to panic, don't panic. Sell off little bits piece by piece so you don't lose too much. Now, let's get to the part about the feeds and what makes this thing goes round, the fat bottom girls of this is a conversation, if you will, because fat bottom girls make the rock and roll go. This is the conversationproject.com is our main source of stuff. It's our website. It's where you go to find us and the Conversation Project. What is the Conversation Project in itself? You can find out by going to This is the Conversation Project and reading hearing, watching, doing stuff that's there. We've had more than a few different types of projects going forward. The conversation project, or the conversation, this is the conversation's name has changed. It's always been based around conversations with y'all's people out there in the world, with news stories and conversational things and pop culture stuff. So find out how you can become a news nerd, if you will, by going to the website. You can easily simply follow along and help things go along by just following our feeds on Facebook and Twitter. You see them right there. This is the Conversation Project on Facebook and th_conversation on Twitter. When you go to those feeds, you follow us on those websites. Every 50 minutes, we post a news story. As the morning goes along, as the afternoon goes along, as the day or evening or late night goes along, and you're checking your feeds, see what we have going on. If you see a story out there that's interesting to you, read it, get in depth into it so we can chat about it. And then, of course, like it, love it, hate it, share it, get engaged to the story so that we know who's really into it. You plus any algorithm weirdness pops up will give us an engagement score that we cut off. We cut off the scores, the engagement links at 5 a.m. every single morning, and then we put them in a spreadsheet, rank them from top to bottom. And from Tuesday through Friday, we provide for you a grouping from the top 15 stories. So basically the top half of stories we say that you say we're engaging enough to chat about. And so we give you a smattering of those. Today, we gave you a bunch because there were so many people who passed over the weekend. We just had to do it that way. And we're doing a little extra going through because we are going to take a vacation on Friday. Friday, we're taking the day off officially. So that's already been called. So we're trying to do more stuff for you so you can get a little time to kind of digest it, see how it goes, and see what you like. Let us know in the comments there and just go from there. But make sure you are engaging with the feeds to see what's going on. And our YouTube channel, this is the conversationproject.com/YouTube, is for the Conversation Project YouTube page. We still need more people to sign up so we can get that custom name. So help us out with that as soon as you can. Make sure you subscribe and hit notifications so you know when we go live with this one. Today, things include birthdays for May 31st. Clint Eastwood turning 70 or 92 today. Sorry, distracted. I thought I fixed that little typo with the thing there. Also, Sharon Gless, famous for being on Cagney Lacey, also famous for being on Bird Notice, doing plenty of things. Sharon Gless, flexing her muscles in her acting chops at 79 years old this day. And Brooke Shields, hard to believe she's, it seems like she's 57, seems like she should be older because I'm younger than she is, and she seemed to be so many things. But 57, not very old in the grand scheme of things when Clint Eastwood is 92 years old today. And plus, when I'm closer to 57 than I want to admit to. So Brooke Shields turning 57 years old, and yes, still doing much good acting here for herself as well. World No Tobacco Day. Back in the day, May 31st was essentially for Americans the Great American Smokeout. It was a day where people, as spring started, took a shot of trying to go a full day without smoking to start their journey to be non-smokers. It's extended to the world. Is now World No Tobacco Day. This is a day where you are basically challenged, if you are a smoker or a tobacco user, to go the full day without a bit of it. So we are pulling for you if you are, and if you want to just kind of pass it, well, there are other days to celebrate. Today, we're spotlighting World No Tobacco Day. Go ahead and give it a shot. Give it a try. See if you can go the full day. Maybe you snuck one in before you watched this, but going forward, go the next 24 hours without tobacco. Let's see if you can do it. And one more thing to think about. One more thing you might not have known on the way out the door. Vinyl record sales are on track to set a new non-vinyl era record this year itself. So last year, vinyl record sales were $1 billion. I should read the script. Last year's buyers for vinyl spent $1 billion, which is up from around 14 million back in 2005. So vinyl is back. I see people looking at it. I see it in people's houses. I don't see it being purchased at the local Walmart. Oh, I see it at the local Walmart. Don't see a lot of people listening to it, mostly because I'm in my car or I'm at work, and not a lot of people pulling out record players at the job ports. They're basically pulling up Spotify and YouTube and things like that. But I guess there are people who are either for the collector versions of it, or they actually listen to it when no one's around, are tuning in to vinyl these days. This has been Things You Might Not Have Heard for Tuesday, May 31st, 2022. I am Jay Cleveland Payne. Thank you so much for being a part of this broadcast. Make sure you follow us on our feed so you can be a part of the show tomorrow. You let us know what stories we're talking about by engaging in the stories going forward. Also, stop by our main website and see our sponsors page and our partnership page, and see if there's a way that we can join together to keep this thing going on. We think we're doing pretty good journalism aggregation, and we hope that you agree with us as well. And if you want to help these things going, as you know, journalism is it has its issue, has its faults, has its things. It's dying as in a sense as a business model, so it needs a lot of people who love the journalists to give it support. So if you like this guy and like what we're doing, we can take all the help that you will give us. We appreciate it. With that, stay hydrated, stay limber, stay on task. We have a whole lot of things to get through, and only halfway through the year. We hit the halfway part officially today. Let's make it happen. We'll talk to you again tomorrow.